classification of protein database SCOP. SCOP is a type of secondary database in which the protein are grouped in different families and superfamilies on the basis of their structural similarity in the term of tertiary structure present in the PDB database. Why we call SCOP as a secondary database? Because SCOP is using the data present in the PDB database for its classification. That is why SCOP is a secondary database. We have already discussed about primary and a secondary database. Primary database contain the data derived from the experiment, whereas the secondary data contain the data obtained through the analysis or the treatment of the data present in the primary database. So as SCOP is using the data of PDB for its classification, so SCOP is a type of secondary database. PDB क्या है? PDB is a protein database, one of the structural database that contain experimentally determined three-dimensional structure of protein. Okay, this data is utilized by the SCOP for classification. Okay, as the PDB contain the experimentally determined data, PDB is an example of primary database, and SCOP is using the data present in the PDB for the classification of protein. So SCOP is a type of secondary database. Coming to the introduction, the structural classification database derive groups on the basis of molecular similarity in the term of tertiary structures present in the PDB database. The most widely known structural classification database are SCOP, CAT, FFSP and DSSP. These all are the structural classification database. This all database uses the data present in the PDB for the classification of protein in different families and superfamily. Basis for protein classification, the protein adopt a limited number of topologies. More than 50,000 sequences fold into 1,000 unique folds. Means even if there is a dissimilarity on the sequence, the protein might have the same structure. Second is the homologous sequence have the similar structure. Usually, when the sequence identity is more than 30%, the protein adopt the same fold. Even in the absence of sequence homology, some folds are preferred by vast different sequences. And the third base for protein classification is that the active site is highly conserved. The subset of functionally critical residues are found to be conserved even the fold are varied. Okay, the active site, the binding site, where the protein binding site is highly conserved, means it does not change with evolution. Okay, so as the SCOP, CAT, FFSP, DSSP have classified the protein on the basis of their structure, not on the basis of their sequences. So these are the basis for the protein classification in this databases. Okay, they adopt the limited number of topologies. Even if there is a sequence dissimilarity, they might have the same fold. Okay, the homologous sequence have the similar structure. When the sequence identity is more than 30%, they adopt the same fold. And the third base is the active site is highly conserved. Coming to what is SCOP, the structural classification of protein database is largely a manual classification of protein structure domain based on similarities of their structure and amino acid sequences. Okay, manual classification means here the classification is done by the expert biologist, not by automated process, not programmatic process. Okay, it is done by the manually by the expert biologist on the basis of similarity of their structure and amino acid sequences. Okay, the similar structured protein are placed in one group. The motivation for this classification is to determine the evolutionary relationship between the protein. Okay, what is the meaning of it? The protein which have the same structure might have the evolutionary relationship. They might have diverged from the common ancestor. है ना, अगर प्रोटीन का स्ट्रक्चर सेम है, इसका मतलब क्या है, उनका एंसेस्टर जो है वो कॉमन हो सकता है. That is the motivation for this classification, is to find the evolutionary relationship between the proteins. Okay, the classification is on the hierarchical level. Hierarchical level means one to many, जैसे parent child relationship होता है. ठीक है, the first two classes, the family and superfamily, which describe the near and far evolutionary relationship, and the third level is the fold, which describe the geometrical relationship that arise from the physics and chemistry of the protein. The protein with the same shape but having a low sequence or functional similarity are placed in superfamily and are assumed to have a very distinct common ancestor. Okay, वो proteins जिनका structure same है, shape same है, लेकिन अगर sequence और functional similarity कम है तो उनको कहाँ रखा गया है, सुपर फैमिली में रखा गया है. Okay, and are assumed to have the far distant common ancestor. It means there is a probability that they have the common ancestor. Clear evolutionary relationship नहीं है क्योंकि उनका shape same है लेकिन sequence और functional similarity नहीं है, तो उनको काय में रखा गया है, सुपर फैमिली में रखा गया है. Now the proteins with having a same shape but some sequence some similarity of the sequence and function are placed in family and are assumed to have a closer common ancestor. वो proteins जिनका shape भी same है plus have the similarity of the sequence and function, जिनके sequence और function में भी similarity है, they are placed in family. उनको family में रखा गया है and are assumed to have a closer common ancestor. Okay, they have the clear evolutionary relationship because they have a same shape, some sequence and functional similarity. The structured classification of protein, that is a SCOP database, provide a detailed and comprehensive description of relationship of all the known protein structure present in PDB. PDB database में जितने भी protein structures present है उनके बीच में वो relationship बताता है. SCOP database. SCOP database was started in the year 1994 at the Center of Protein Engineering and was later on established at Laboratory of Molecular Biology in Cambridge University, England. It is an open source database and hence is accessible freely. Why did it start? At present, the Protein Data Bank (PDB) contains nearly 173,900 protein entries, and the number is increasing by approximately 200 a month. This protein have a structural similarity with other proteins and in many cases shares a common evolutionary origin. To facilitate the access to this information, the SCOP database has been constructed. Coming to the SCOP classification, the PDB contains freely available three-dimensional protein structure which are used by the SCOP for classification. The classification of protein in a SCOP is on hierarchical level as follow. कौन-कौन से levels हैं इसमें? Class, fold, superfamily, family, protein domain, species and domain. Okay. See here I have shown you in the hierarchical level. The root of SCOP classification is the class. तो class में अपना क्या आता है? Here in the class, the proteins are grouped on the basis of their major secondary structure. Alpha and beta helix को हम secondary structure बोलते हैं protein का. तो in the class, the protein are grouped on the basis of their major secondary structures. So कौन-कौन से आएंगे? All alpha, all beta, alpha or beta, alpha and beta. Okay, all alpha means it contains those protein which are essentially formed by the alpha helix. Okay, all beta में क्या रहेगा? They contains the protein whose structure is essentially formed by the beta sheet. In alpha और beta में क्या रहता है आपका? It contains both alpha and beta units. Okay, and here the beta sheets are पैरेलल. इन अल्फा और बीटा में क्या रहता है आपका? बीटा शीट्स जो है वो पैरेलल होती है. अल्फा एंड बीटा में क्या रहेगा? इट आल्सो कंटेन्स अल्फा एंड बीटा यूनिट्स and here the beta sheets are anti-parallel. Okay, so these are the classes of protein in SCOP. All alpha, all beta, alpha or beta, alpha and beta. क्लास के नीचे आता है आपका फोल्ड. ठीक है. Now a particular class can take a different types of folding, different various domains. The alpha and beta can forms various domains like Rasmon fold, Flavidoxin fold, alpha beta barrels. जैसा कि मैंने आपको फोल्ड में क्या बताया, फोल्ड जो है वो आपका ज्योमेट्रिकल रिलेशनशिप बताता है दैट अराइजेस फ्रॉम द फिजिक्स एंड केमिस्ट्री ऑफ द प्रोटीन, है ना। आपके पास अल्फा बीटा है वो कैसा फोल्ड हो रहा है, हेयर पिन लूप बना रहा है ठीक है, रेस्मॉन फोल्ड बना रहा है, तो ये आपका कैसे भी फोल्ड हो सकता है, डिफरेंट टाइप्स की फोल्डिंग्स ले सकता है अल्फा बीटा क्लास का। तो यहाँ पे फोल्ड क्या कंटेन कर रहा है, द वेरियस टाइप्स ऑफ वेरियस डोमेन शेप कंटेन्ड इन वन सिंगल क्लास, वो आता है आपका फोल्ड के अंदर, ठीक है। जैसे अल्फा बीटा जो है वो कौन कौन सा ले सकता है, रेस्मॉन फोल्ड, फ्लेविडॉक्सिन लाइक फोल्ड, अल्फा बीटा बैरल्स, डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ फोल्ड कैन बी फॉर्म्ड बाय अल्फा और बीटा क्लास, ओके। नेक्स्ट आता है आपका सुपर फैमिली। सुपर फैमिली में क्या है, दे कंटेन, इट इंक्लूड्स दोज प्रोटीन which have the same shape but have a very low sequence or functional similarity are placed in superfamily, है ना। इसमें जैसे TIM, ट्रिप बायोसिंथेसिस, ग्लाइकोसिल ट्रांसफरेज, रूबिस्को, this all are the protein which contains alpha beta barrels but have a very low sequence and functional similarity. That is why they are placed in superfamily. Okay, they shares the same domain, they have the alpha beta barrels but have a very low functional and sequence similarity, and we assume that they might have the common ancestor or the distinct common ancestor, इसीलिए उनके फंक्शन और सीक्वेंस में सिमिलैरिटी हमको नहीं दिख रही है, तो दे आर प्लेस्ड इन सुपर फैमिली। फैमिली में क्या आता है, जैसे बीटा गैलेक्टोसाइडेज, बीटा ग्लूकानेज, अल्फा अमाइलेज, बीटा अमाइलेज, दिस ऑल आर प्लेस्ड इन फैमिली, दे ऑल have alpha beta barrels and also shows सीक्वेंस एंड फंक्शनल सिमिलैरिटी, है ना। ये सारे के सारे एंजाइम्स जो है वो कार्बोहाइड्रेट रिलेटेड है ना। तो दे हैव द सीक्वेंस एज वेल एज दे हैव द फंक्शनल सिमिलैरिटी अलोंग विद द स्ट्रक्चर, सो दे आर प्लेस्ड इन द फैमिली एंड दे हैव द क्लियर इवोल्यूशनरी रिलेशनशिप, वो एक ही जगह से डाइवर्ज होके आए हैं, जैसे ग्लाइकोसिल ट्रांसफरेज से ही ये सब आपके डाइवर्ज होके आए हैं, ठीक है। तो दे आर प्लेस्ड इन फैमिली। तो सुपर फैमिली एंड फैमिली में डिफरेंस समझ में आया। सुपर फैमिलीज में कौन से प्रोटीन्स होते हैं, which have the same shape but have a low sequence and functional similarity are placed in super family, and in family में क्या रहेगा, which have the same shape and also have the sequence and functional similarity are placed in the family. Okay, now alpha amylase के types, acidic alpha amylase, है ना, glycosyl transferase, oligo 1,6 glucosidase, this all are the protein of alpha amylase. Then species, in which species this particular proteins are found, and the last is the PDB hybrid. So this is the SCOP hierarchy. Okay, the first one, the root of the SCOP hierarchy is the class, then fold, superfamily, family, protein. Okay. See the class, the root of this hierarchical classification is the class which has the following major type: all alpha protein class, all beta protein class, alpha or beta protein class, alpha and beta protein class, and multi-domain protein class. All alpha protein class which contain domain comprising of alpha helix. All beta protein class contain domain comprising of beta sheet. Alpha or beta protein class contain individual units as beta alpha beta, and beta sheets are usually parallel to each other. In alpha plus beta class contain a separate alpha and beta region, and beta sheets are arranged in the anti-parallel fashion. In a multi-domain protein class contain those folds consisting of two or more domain बिलोंगिंग ऑफ डिफरेंट क्लासेस, है ना। मल्टी डोमेन प्रोटीन क्लास में क्या, आपके फोल्ड में आपके मल्टीपल डोमेन्स है, टू और मोर डोमेन्स है विच बिलोंग्स टू द डिफरेंट क्लास, जैसे अल्फा भी आएगा, बीटा भी आएगा, तो वो आ जाता है आपका मल्टी डोमेन प्रोटीन क्लास के अंदर। द नेक्स्ट लेवल इज द फोल्ड। ईच क्लास कंटेन अ नंबर ऑफ डिस्टिंक्ट फोल्ड. For example, all alpha protein class contain more than 280 distinct fold. Now, all alpha protein classes जो है, all alpha proteins can take more than 280 distinct folds. Okay, the superfamily and family are defined as having the common fold if their proteins have the same major secondary structure in the same arrangement and with the same topological connection. जैसे यहाँ एग्जाम्पल में मैंने बताया both superfamily and family have the alpha beta barrels. The structural similarity of the protein in the same fold category probably arises from the physics and chemistry of the protein, favoring a certain packaging arrangement and the chain topologies. है ना, proteins में structural similarity कब आएगी? When the physics and chemistry of the protein favors the same packaging arrangement and the chain topologies. Okay. Coming to the superfamily, the proteins having the low sequence identity but whose structure and in many cases functional features suggest that a common evolutionary origin is probable are placed together in the superfamily. है ना, जिनका सीक्वेंस सिमिलैरिटी जो है वो बहुत ही कम है, लेकिन स्ट्रक्चर और फंक्शन हमें ये सजेस्ट कर रहा है कि उनका इवोल्यूशनरी ओरिजिन कॉमन हो सकता है. दे माइट हैव द कॉमन ancestor are placed together in the super family. Next level is the family. The protein are clustered together into family on the basis of one of the two criteria that implies their having a common evolutionary origin. All protein that have the residual identity of 30% or greater. The second one is the protein with a low sequence identity but whose function and structures are very similar are placed in family. है ना, फैमिली में वो प्रोटीन्स रहेंगे when there is a clear evolutionary relationship. है ना, तो वो कब आता है क्लियर इवोल्यूशनरी रिलेशनशिप? अगर उनका सीक्वेंस आइडेंटिटी 30% से ज्यादा है, मींस होमोलॉगस सीक्वेंस है, या फिर अगर होमोलॉगस सीक्वेंस नहीं है तो उनका स्ट्रक्चर और फंक्शन जो है वे बहुत ज्यादा सिमिलर होगा, देन दे आर प्लेस्ड इन फैमिली. ओके, तो क्या क्या है आपका हायरार्ची इन द स्कूप? क्लास, फोल्ड, सुपर फैमिली, फैमिली, प्रोटीन. क्लास में कौन कौन से आते हैं? ऑल अल्फा, ऑल बीटा, अल्फा और बीटा, अल्फा एंड बीटा एंड मल्टी डोमेन. Fold having the same major secondary structure and topological connection. Superfamily, probable common ancestor, and family, there is a clear evolutionary relationship. Here I have shown you the scoop classification statistics. Okay, class all alpha, all beta, alpha beta, alpha or beta multi-domain, membrane and a surface protein, small proteins. See number of folds, superfamily, family, as it is the hierarchical one to many. देखो बढ़ते जा रहा है ना, 202 folds, 342 superfamilies and 550 families. So this is the scoop classification statistics. Here I have shown you the topologies of different classes. Like all alpha can take this many topologies. Topologies means fold. Okay, so all alpha can take the different topologies I have shown you here. All beta topologies. All beta can take sandwich model, can make the barrels, beta barrels, and depending upon the arrangement and the chain connection. Okay, see this is also a all beta topologies. See the different types of fold taken up by all beta protein. अल्फा और बीटा, है ना, अल्फा और बीटा में क्या है? बीटा शीट्स आर पैरेलल एंड देयर इज अ बीटा अल्फा बीटा यूनिट्स. देखो बीटा अल्फा बीटा यूनिट्स, है ना, बीटा शीट्स आर पैरेलल. देखो एरो आपका सेम साइड में दिख रहा है, यहाँ पे बीटा शीट्स क्या रहती है? पैरेलल होती है ना, देखो पैरेलल है, एरोस जो है वो सेम साइड में है. रेस्मॉन फोल्ड, दिस इज द अल्फा और बीटा टोपोलॉजीज. They can also make the barrels. Okay, this is the Rasmon fold. This is alpha beta barrels. Okay, this all are also the alpha beta topologies. Alpha and beta. In alpha and beta regions are segregated. है ना, देखो यहाँ पे आपका alpha आपका अलग से दिख रहा है सिलेंडर, एंड बीटा शीट्स जो है वो रिबन फॉर्म में वो अलग से है. ठीक है, हियर द अल्फा एंड बीटा रीजन आर सेग्रीगेटेड एंड बीटा शीट्स आर एंटी पैरेलल, है ना। एंटी पैरेलल में आपका एरो जो है वो आपका ऑपोजिट दिखाई देगा, देखो एंटी पैरेलल, दिस ऑल आर आल्सो द अल्फा बीटा टोपोलॉजीज। देखो यहाँ पर आपका देखो ये एंटी पैरेलल है ना, ऑपोजिट साइड में आपको एरोज दिखाई देंगे। एंड द अल्फा एंड बीटा रीजन आर सेग्रीगेटेड, सेपरेट रीजन रहता है, जबकि हम जब अल्फा और बीटा में आएंगे तो वो मिक्स रहता है, ठीक है। यहाँ पे सेग्रीगेटेड अलग अलग यूनिट्स बनाते हैं, ओके। So this all are the different topologies of scoop classes. See, this is the home page of Scoop. If you want to search, if you want to retrieve information from the Scoop database, you have to type Scoop on the Google. It will open up this page. Okay? Here is the search box. You can search by text, by Scoop ID, by PDB ID, or by the Uniprot ID. You can also search by rows by the structural class, जैसे कि all alpha, all beta, alpha or beta protein, alpha and beta protein, small proteins, or you can browse by the protein type, like globular protein. If you are studying on globular protein, you can search globular protein, membrane protein, fibrous protein, the non-globular or the unstructured protein. You can search by this also. Okay. If you click on all alpha protein, it will open up this page. The structural class will all alpha. Okay. All alpha protein can there are 472 entries, है ना। all alpha protein कितने folds बना सकते हैं, 472 different types of folds, like left handed parallel coiled coil, single transmembrane helix, left handed anti parallel coiled coil, alpha alpha super helix. So what type of fold you are interested in, you can click here. Okay. Now your class is all alpha, your fold is left handed parallel coiled coil. अब इसके अंदर क्या आ जाएगी, this many 68 सुपर फैमिलीज, है ना। ये सारी फैमिलीज में 68 सुपर फैमिलीज में क्या है, आपका फोल्ड जो है वो लेफ्ट हैंडेड पैरेलल कॉइल्ड कॉइल फोल्ड है, बट दे हैव अ वेरी लिटिल sequence and functional similarity, so they are placed in super family. Okay, means this all proteins might have the कॉमन एंसेस्टर। अब इसके बाद आपको सेलेक्ट करना है कौन सी आप सुपर फैमिली में, जो एस एल वाई एक्स लाइक फैमिली आई हैव सेलेक्टेड, है ना। तो आपकी सुपर फैमिली होगी एस एल वाई एक्स लाइक। इसके अंदर आपका क्या आएगा, फैमिली, है ना। इसमें 4 एंट्रीज है। दिस ऑल प्रोटीन्स हैव द दिस ऑल 4 एंट्रीज हैव द क्लियर इवोल्यूशनरी रिलेशनशिप, है ना। इनमें क्या है, आपका सीक्वेंस सिमिलैरिटी भी है, फंक्शनल सिमिलैरिटी भी है, एंड structural similarity भी है। तो this all 4 have the clear evolutionary relationship, that is why they are placed in family. Okay, now you can click any one of it. जैसे आपने SLY-X like को क्लिक किया तो it will open up this domain. तो आपका क्या हो गया, class is all alpha protein, fold is left handed parallel coiled coil, superfamily is SLY-X like, family, then domain, and here is the structure. Okay, this is how you can search on the Scoop database. Okay, now if you want to see this in Google, okay, and type Scoop database. Okay, so this is the home page of Scoop database. Nearly all the protein have the structural similarity with other protein, and in some cases shares the common evolutionary origin. The Scoop database, created by the manual inspection and abated by the battery of automated method, aim to provide a detailed and comprehensive description of structural and evolutionary relationship between all the proteins whose structure is known. As such, it provides a broad survey of all the known protein fold, detailed information about the close relative of any particular protein, and framework for the future research classification. So here is the search box. You can search by the text, by the SCOP ID, by the PDB ID, or by the UniProt ID. You can browse by the structural class. Like if you are interested to study on all alpha protein, you can click on all alpha, all beta, alpha or beta, alpha and beta, or small protein. Next way to search is by protein type: globular protein, membrane protein, fibrous protein, non-globular protein. Okay, जैसा कि मैंने आपको ऑल अल्फा का दिखाया था, तो अगेन आई विल शो यू ऑल अल्फा. ठीक है, सी द स्ट्रक्चर क्लास विल बी ऑल अल्फा. ठीक है, ऑल अल्फा प्रोटीन कैन फोल्ड इन 475 टाइप्स, है ना. ऑल अल्फा प्रोटीन के अंदर कितने फोल्ड्स हैं आपके? 475 टाइप्स ऑफ फोल्ड्स है. नाउ वॉट एवर यू आर इंटरेस्टेड इन, यू कैन क्लिक हियर. तो लेफ्ट हैंडेड पैरेलल कॉइल्ड कॉइल को अगर मैं क्लिक करती हूँ, तो मैंने स्ट्रक्चर क्लास क्या सिलेक्ट कर लिया? ऑल अल्फा. फोल्ड हमारा हो गया लेफ्ट हैंडेड पैरेलल कॉइल्ड कॉइल. इसके अंदर कितनी सुपर फैमिलीज आ रही है? 71 सुपर फैमिलीज आ रही है, विच हैव द सेम फोल्ड लाइक लेफ्ट हैंडेड पैरेलल कॉइल्ड कॉइल, बट हैव द वेरी लो sequence and functional similarity, है ना. that is why they are placed in super family, or they have a probability to have the common ancestor, है ना. अभी मैं जैसे सुपर फैमिली से जो भी सेलेक्ट करूंगी, अब मैंने सुपर फैमिली SLY-X लाइक को सिलेक्ट कर लिया, तो ये इसके अंदर कितनी फैमिलीज हैं? आपकी फैमिली में आपकी 4 एंट्रीज है. तो दिस 4 हैव द क्लियर इवोल्यूशनरी रिलेशनशिप. दे हैव द सीक्वेंस एज वेल एज फंक्शनल सिमिलैरिटी ऑल्सो, है ना. जैसे मैंने इसके बाद यू कैन सी एंसेस्ट्री. देखो क्लासेस यहाँ पे आ गई आपकी. क्लास आपका आ गया ऑल अल्फा, फोल्ड लेफ्ट हैंडेड पैरेलल कॉइल कॉइल, सुपर फैमिलीज SLY-X लाइक फैमिली, एंड हियर इज द डोमेन. सी दिस इज द डोमेन. ओके, स्ट्रक्चर देखो ऑल अल्फा था, तो ये आपका हेलिक्स लाइक स्ट्रक्चर शो कर रहा है. ठीक है, तो दिस इज हाउ यू कैन सर्च ऑन द स्कूप डेटाबेस.